Welcome to the Thrive 360 podcast. My name is Mitch McKinney. I'm the founder of Thrive 360 Ministries, which is a ministry that is dedicated to helping people lead healthy and finish well. Before we jump into our first ever episode, I just humbly ask that you would like and subscribe on YouTube or whatever platform you're watching this on. It would mean the world to us. But thank you so much for joining us. This is a big epic day for us because this is our first episode, and I am grateful to be able to kick this journey off with my friend, my partner, my man, Mark Montemayor. Monty and I have known each other for a long time. We've served together for a long time. He is an incredible man, gifted leader, and does a lot of this kind of work in different circles. Looking forward to getting into that with you. But thanks for joining us.
So good to be here. I'm so glad we're finally getting to have this conversation. It's so important to the work that we do and to the life of the church. So Thank you.
I was thinking about where do we start? Like, how do we start this conversation? How do we kick off this journey? And I kept coming back to, unfortunately, I think we need to start with the problem, kind of like where we're at when it comes to leader health. Because you've seen some of the studies and the surveys, the statistics, and they don't paint a pretty picture, right?
No, not at all.
So I have some of them here. According to Barna, 41%. So 41%. So 2 in 5 leaders have considered quitting ministry in the past 12 months. 70% of pastors state that they're constantly fighting depression. 50% feel so discouraged that if they could, they would leave ministry. 84% say they're on call 24 hours a day. 33.3%, so 1 in 3 leaders that are currently serving say that they've experienced burnout. I know I'm seeing that, but I'm interested with all the work that you're doing. Do those numbers, do those surveys and statistics line up with what you're seeing in the
100%? Ministry was tough before the pandemic, before all that went down in 2020. And then it's been like 2 layers because all of a sudden everybody's isolated and it got harder and everybody felt more stress, more pressed, more constrained, wanted to quit even more. And then there was this like false hope that now that we're allowed out and we can get back together, everything will be fine.
Yeah.
And everything didn't go back to the way it was. And so it's just been compounding.
Yeah.
So it was hard to begin with and it's just gotten more difficult and it's taken its toll on people.
Yeah. We talk about what the pandemic did. In many ways, it just expedited problems that were already there.
It revealed a lot on both sides of the ledger, I'd say, because in some ways, one of the first questions I love asking leaders is, tell me, like, what was it like for you? And some people, it was great because it was a chance to reset. It was a chance to put some new habits in place, and they actually came out of it stronger. Unfortunately, because it revealed what was already there, if you're unhealthy, it revealed the stress and the strain got worse, and it revealed the unhealth. And so, how you handled the pandemic isn't just, it's not an indicator that you're good or bad. It's just an indicator of, hey, how healthy are you or were you, and how unhealthy are you or were you, and do you have any awareness around that?
Yeah. I'm seeing these statistics play out in my circles as well. When you, because I know you think a lot about this and you work a lot in this space, and we work a lot in this space. Have you been able to identify, are there core issues that are underlying core issues or common themes as to what's driving things in this direction?
Yeah, there's definitely, a core issue would be a lack of margin, kind of that busyness and some of that's rooted in this results orientation, this achievement, this I've got to be bigger and better. Which doesn't always come from an unhealthy place. Ambition can be good, but it can also get a hold of us by the tail and kind of yank us around. And so I think the big piece of that is margin, and that's cause. Another one I think is that misplaced identity thing. We talk about this a lot. We get kind of knotted up in where is my identity, and when my identity is in my results, when it's in my numbers, when it's in what people have to say about me. When it's in these things that get me turned around, then that just sets in motion all these other things. That squeezes out any margin you may have hoped to have. I think, there's other things, but I think they really fold up into those two things.
Yeah.
Neglect of self is one that's huge, but that's going to come from a lack of margin or a misplaced identity.
So when it comes to like the lack of margin stuff, what's perpetuating that? Is it just that the work that we're doing we feel is so important, it's kind of life or death, so we keep pressing, we don't rest, or what's at the root of that, you think?
I think it's the same thing. I think it's back. If my identity is in my results and I'm not getting results, then I'm going to keep driving. Yeah. If my identity isn't wrapped up in my results, but I succumb to the pressure of what others' expectations and I don't have a right view of my part in this whole thing, that'll drive it too. And so I really think that like the safety check or the key habit is that I've got enough margin that I can stay sober-minded about things, and I have some rhythms in my life that keep me grounded.
Yeah. I mean, we were created for Sabbath. On the sixth day, He rested. Right?
Yes.
After the sixth day, He rested.
Yeah.
And we sometimes think like we're exempt from that. We're created in His image, but we're exempt from that.
No, I love that. And when I think about the whole creation story, God didn't get tired. He didn't rest on the seventh day because He was wiped out. He didn't rest on the seventh day because He had some creative void and He was just tapped out of ideas. He rested because He knew He had created enough. Yeah. And I think as leaders, sometimes we don't know when enough's enough. And so we don't know when to stop because there is no end to what could be in our mind or what ought to be in our mind. And we just keep chasing. And I think that just getting grounded enough in being comfortable with enough is enough.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's definitely a problem. We're seeing leaders. Leaders are, we've experienced this in different ways of leader after leader after leader who's burning out, crashing, burning, moral failures, physically, mentally, emotionally, falling into really hard seasons of depression and whatever. So there's definitely consequences involved here.
Oh, for sure.
When we talk about why this conversation is so important and this work is so important, the stakes are high, right?
Yeah.
Speak to kind of what's ultimately at stake here.
Well, it's not just everybody else. I mean, you and I have experienced this in our lives. So we've had a firsthand view of the impact and the consequences that this has. And so it starts with just the potential impact on our soul, on our relationship with God and our wellness. And then it just ripples from there. And, impact on marriage, on family, on the health of the church or the ministry that I'm leading. And then, the people in that ministry. And some of them, I think about very early, one of my first experiences as a new believer and seeing a leader that played a key role in my life fall. I fortunately didn't go to that place of, is what he taught me real?
Right.
Is my salvation real? Is this all just a fraud? Should I walk away from it? Thank God that wasn't my experience, but I've seen that in others.
Yeah.
Because that becomes the proof text that this is all a sham. Right. And that's for people in the church. How much more for people who are outside the faith? Yeah. Looking in, it's just more evidence that the skepticism that they have is well-founded. It's justified.
It breaks my heart because there are people who are on the outside looking in. And I think that they want to take that step towards the Lord, that step of faith. But they're just holding their breath almost kind of like wait and see what's going to happen. Yeah. And so every time a leader falls, it's like I can imagine them saying like, I told you it wasn't real.
Oh, yeah. No, but, and that's a huge deal. And we all have to answer for that at some point. But I think the bigger deal, it's personal. I think as a leader, I can't lose sight of the fact that I could shipwreck my own faith. Like I can create a lot of consequences for myself. Yeah. And that's got to be real. And when I lose sight of that, when I get so numb that I'm dull to that, I mean, you don't get there overnight. We talk about this all the time. You don't drift to a better place, and you don't drift in a hurry. Yeah. That's the tricky thing about drift is slow. Yeah. And we say all of a sudden, but there's nothing sudden about it, except the fact that we realize we've wandered a long way.
Yeah. We're going to double click on drift in the next episode. Let me ask you this. If there are leaders right now, they're listening to this and they're like, I think I'm not in a healthy place. I'm not in a good place. How would you encourage them to get help, get started on getting healthy?
Yeah. If they have that awareness and they're not in denial, I would say tell somebody. It doesn't have to be that way, and you don't have to dig yourself out of the hole alone. Get a friend, be honest with somebody, and let them help you and let them hold you accountable.
Yeah. It's like you need to take some time to take some time in some space and try to evaluate kind of where you're at. And I know that some leaders, they're in a spot where maybe they can do that. There's others who are like, I can't even think straight right now. And, we have a resource that we can send to leaders. Yeah. And so definitely encourage leaders to go to the website and sign up for our
I would say if you're not sure, if you're feeling off, then you still got to own it and get some help. And the help might not be pulling you out of the hole. The help might be just helping you sort out, like, where am I? Am I in trouble? Am I off course? Or am I just feeling off?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. This is a much needed conversation, and I'm grateful that we're starting this journey together.
Yeah.
The conversation is definitely going to continue. So make sure that you stay tuned and join us next time. Next time we are going to double click on drift. We're going to talk about something that we all struggle with. That is something that we all struggle with for sure. Between now and then, we want to encourage you again to like and subscribe to our channel on YouTube or whatever platform you're watching and joining us in with. And we also want to encourage you to sign up for our monthly check-in. It's a resource that we send out to you every month that focuses on leader health, gives you some insights, some tools that you can use, some next steps you can take today towards your health. You can find that at thrive360.com. All words, thrive360.com. Thanks again for starting this journey with us. Thanks again, Monty.
Great.
We'll see you next time on the Thrive 360 podcast. God bless.